Obviously, we know that the transfer window is still ongoing. Obviously, a couple more weeks left until that closes. Who do we think has had the best transfer window so far? Is everybody in agreement that it's Napoli hands down?
Napoli and Como, to me, stand out.
Who's had the best one?
The best one? Napoli.
Yeah.
Not even a question for me. It's Napoli.
Yeah, I mean, they were already strong, but then they added in the right spots and got stronger. They added right through the spine of their team. It's Napoli for sure.
And they're not done. They'll probably sign a center forward like who is it? Hojlund maybe is going to be the guy, or
do you like that?
Vlahovic.
Hojlund?
I think if Conte
Hojlund or Vlahovic?
I think if Conte wants him, I think Hojlund can fit. You know, the runs in behind. He's had a bad time at Manchester United. A lot of players have gone there with huge price tags and they haven't lived up to it. I think you should trust Conte, and he says he's absolutely the front runner. And then maybe backup would be Vlahovic or Dovbyk.
Conte wants his strikers to run. Remember, Vlahovic was complaining that Thiago Motta was making him run too much, and when he was on the Serbian national team, he didn't have to run. That's why he scored. That's not going to fly with Antonio Conte.
Would you like Hojlund? Obviously, Grella, it's difficult to weigh up his Manchester United time because, as Marco mentioned, not many players have flourished as of late. But do you see Hojlund being a good enough player?
I like everybody and everything depending on the price, right? And that's what it is. I like Hojlund depending on the price, not for the money that he went to Manchester United for, not for, you know, big money. Because I think for me as a striker, he has one big defect in that he runs outside the width of the 18-yard box. And you hear all the great strikers. I mean, when we talked about Vieri or even Alessandro Del Piero, when you think of the Trezeguets of the world, all the legends of Serie A, the best strikers, they stay in between the box. And he has a habit of running away and away from the goal. So that's my one worry with him.
40 million is the reported price. It'll be a loan with obligation to buy.
One of our YouTube viewers that's joining us said, Nicola De Angelis, who should Napoli buy in attack? Anybody else other than Hojlund? Is there anybody else that they can bring in? Because obviously Romelu Lukaku is got an injury.
Do they want to spend too much? Because Lukaku's going to be out for, what is it, 3 or 4 months in the end? So you have Lukaku. You just spent over 30 million for Lorenzo Luca as the number 2. Do you want to spend big money for a guy that might be the 3rd string striker when it's all said and done? Someone like Hojlund needs to play. Hojlund wants to go to a place where he can play, and he wants a buyout clause that's mandatory because he wants to feel like his next club is someone that appreciates him, that actually wants him. He doesn't want to just be going on loan, coming back to United, where it doesn't seem like he's going to be in the future of that club either. So I don't think it will be Rasmus Hojlund at Napoli.
But you need a top striker to play in multiple competitions. They can't go into a season with one striker, Matteo.
They wouldn't have signed someone else if Lukaku wouldn't have been injured, though.
Yeah, exactly. So Lukaku's out for Lukaku's out 3 or 4 months. Who knows if he needs surgery, how long it's going to take? It would be too much of a risk. I think you have to get another center forward, absolutely. I still think they're missing in the midfield as well. I think that the midfield is absolutely necessary. Remember, Anguissa's gone for AFCON for a month. That's going to be a big dip. They'll be too weak there. And I would still sign one more winger. I think that they could use it in the attack to give them a different look. I know Noah Lang has come in. Politano's there. I will go for one more there. So still another 2-3 signings.
What about Yunus Musah, Grella, from a US men's national team perspective? There was a few rumours about him potentially going. Would that make sense?
I think he's a player who's got a lot of tools, and I think on a personal level, if I'm Musah or his representation, that I would go to Antonio Conte in a second, because I think he would make his type of player perfectly, right? You see what he's done to McTominay, you see what he's done to even Anguissa. Anguissa was very good under Spalletti, but I think Conte adds something different. Now, obviously, Conte played that position. He was that number 8 that was up and down, getting good in the box. And so he would raise Musah's level. And with the conversation about Musah is that he has all the tools. It's just a matter of putting it together, and we haven't been able to see it yet. But he's still young, so it would be actually a really good move, I think, for everyone involved.
Obviously, two of you have got Napoli winning the Scudetto. You've got Inter winning it. Grell, is Napoli the deepest team in Serie A? Who would you say has got the most depth in the league coming into the new season?
Inter and Napoli, I'd say, have probably the most depth. That's why we mostly had them as 1 and 2, right? Inter is the most likely to truly challenge Napoli, right? I've been saying Roma. I've been on the Roma bandwagon. There's still plenty of space for you guys to come on in. You guys didn't even have them top 4.
The Roma bandwagon in 4th place.
Well, you had Juventus out of the top 4. They looked pretty good today, too. I mean, it's hard on match day 1, but both teams look
against
great.
a Parma that has loads of players out, that just lost their only striker that they signed. Like, Parma's is a 29-year-old coach, by the way, Carlos Cuesta.
Yeah.
He's got a mountain of a job to do. But I'd say Inter and Napoli probably the two deepest teams, right?
Depending on if Napoli get these reinforcements.
Yeah. What about the team then that has the most work to do? Is there any team that you're pushing the panic button for at the minute?
For me, Bologna. Bologna scared me yesterday. They had Ciro Immobile, who got injured right away.
They signed the old Immobile, and he tore it. It looked like he
Right away, he was injured. Rowe is a player that's come in, but Vincenzo Italiano made a fantastic point. I think he was spot on, where he hates that the season is played and the transfer market is open. He said before the game for Bologna, he's had players on the phone with their agents saying, "I don't want to play this game. Get me out of here." Lukumi's got an offer from the Premier League that he wants to take, which is big money. But Di Vaio went on TV and he said, "How am I supposed to sell my center back? How can I sell my best center back? It's going to ruin my season. I can't even buy anybody. Even if I get good money, it's too late into the mercato." That's something that, for me, football should work on. Yeah. And you have to start a season after the transfer market is closed.
Yeah.
For me, Milan, though, is a panic button right now, because all this money, Iglitare, the new sporting director, made all this money, and everyone's saying, wow, he sold Malik Chow for 42 million, he sold Okafor for 20. That's amazing. That money's not going into the pockets of the fans. That money is going into the pockets of the owners, and right now they have not spent accordingly to fill out a team that is paper thin. They have one striker. They lost Morata, Tammy Abraham, Camarda, Luka Jovic. They did not add one striker. They only have, in matchday 1 of Serie A, Santi Jimenez, who couldn't touch a ball against Federico Baschirotto. They just went for a guy that failed the medical to go to Saudi Arabia. And now it's like, oh, he failed another medical. Yeah, no kidding.
Milan will be okay.
And
Milan will make the right
after.
signings to get into the top
What about the back line as well?
Will? Milan?
Yes.
Milan will make the right signing?
Milan will make the right signings.
Based on what?
They've made good signings so far.
They're only going for discounts.
They're a piece or two away from putting together a team that will compete for the Champions League.
But they only go for discounts. Why are they going for Boniface? Because he's damaged goods. Because you can get him on a...
For Champions League spot, absolutely.
Oh, a Champions League spot.
Marco, why are they going for Boniface? Because they can't go for the finished product. Why are they going for Yashad? He came from the Belgian league, still has everything to prove at the highest level. Modric is 40 years old. Bless him. His teammates don't even deserve to be on the same pitch as Luka Modric, who's an absolute legend. They go for guys that are coming from either smaller teams or guys that are either coming off an injury or didn't work out because they're all on a bargain.
That's a reality for a lot of Serie A teams, though, Matteo. That's a reality.
But you're saying they're one or two pieces away.
They're one or two pieces away.
If you think you're going to go into a season with Gabbia and Pavlovic as your center backs and think that you're going to have a decent season and maybe compete for the Scudetto, you are out of your mind. You're out of your mind. They think they're missing a couple pieces at the back. Estupiñán didn't look good either, aside from the assist.
Even
defensively,
just with the
didn't look good.
Competition though, because they don't necessarily need the depth that these other teams need. They're not playing in the Champions League. Obviously, they had to even qualify, didn't they, to get into the Coppa Italia? So they started from the bare bottom of that competition.
Jimenez gets suspended. They physically have no other striker who can fill in. They have to play Pulisic and Leao out of position. That is crazy.
The market's not done.
Milan.
Yeah, I think
it's not done. They're going to sign
just got beat by Cremonese because they didn't have a striker. They didn't want to play Santi Jimenez. Allegri desperately wants another striker, and because they didn't have another striker, and also because they haven't signed the right center backs yet, they lost this game to Cremonese. Allegri went and met with the top guys, Iglitare, right now at Casa Milan today, and said, we desperately need a center back. We desperately need a striker. Now they're looking to get this guy, Conrad Harder from Sporting Lisbon, who had 5 goals in like 700 minutes last season. That's fine, but he's a project too. Like Conrad Harder's never scored more than 8 goals in his life in a season.
Let's just make a quick note on Lazio, because we've got one of our viewers on YouTube just asking about them. Lazio smashing the panic button. Do we agree with this, boys?
Go to our resident Lazio.
Go on, Grella.
We got to go to you, actually, right? Because wasn't there a good quote?
From Maurizio Sarri.
Yeah.
Maurizio Sarri said that he's so happy to be back at Lazio. You know, the smile came back on his face, and then 5 minutes into the match, it disappeared, and he realized that reality has set in. And he said if he hopes that was a one-off, and if not, if that wasn't just a one-off, then we're in for a long season.
That's like Grella on the first day yesterday. I'm so happy to be back. Novelty's worn off now. Halfway in the day.
I spend a half a day with you. And we're up pretty quickly.
Grella, there's a good question for you from Napoli Nation TV. Does Milan try for Vlahovic? Your favorite player?
I don't know, but it's possible, right? They're desperate for a striker. He just comes on, scores a goal now. Can he rekindle it? I mean, obviously we saw what he did at Fiorentina in this league, right? So it's possible that Allegri says he's worked with him before.
He played under Allegri. He did his best season at Juve. His best season at Juve was under Max Allegri, which still wasn't what he did at Fiorentina. But it looks like Milan need 2 strikers. So this guy, Conrad Harder, who they're evaluating, we don't know. We don't know what he can bring. We have no idea. He's a project, but they need a bomber. They need someone that they can rely upon, that Allegri knows. And he likes Dusan Vlahovic.
Well, let's be honest as well. Players have left Juventus and flourished, haven't they? So maybe Vlahovic could do the same thing and follow in Moise Keane's footsteps.
True.
What about a player to fill a specific gap then? Because you've all picked one, right? Marco, how about you go first? Or Matteo, sorry, actually.
Yeah.
You follow.
So I would give Comuzzo to Milan. Obviously, they would have to buy them. Fiorentina's never going to give him up. He's a young Italian defender with loads of room to grow. He's someone that I think is going to be on the Italian national team. I think he'll be part of the core with Giovanni Leone. And they desperately need another centre-back, especially one that they need. First of all, I think Milan need just one Italian. We didn't see one Italian on the pitch, right? Ricci wasn't on the pitch in the first game against Cremonese. Comuzzo knows Serie A. He has room to grow. To me, it's a no-brainer, and he doesn't cost that much money.
You like that, boys?
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
But Fiorentina, there's also another comment here from Thomas Kent that says Fiorentina should be in the list that's got to push the panic button. After that, Fiorentina, can you imagine selling Comuzzo, your best defender, now to Milan? It's a little late in the mercato, I would think, to get a player of that caliber.
I think that's the problem, isn't it? Once you start selling players at this point, then you're leaving yourself exposed if you run out of time at the end of it and you can't bring someone in. Grell, who have you got?
Best player in Serie A, probably last season for sure. For the last 2 seasons, Lookman. I think the margins are so tight at the top of this table, we really can't call it between Napoli and Inter. And whoever gets this guy moving forward, it looked like Inter for long periods of time. Now I'm not so sure. But whoever gets Lookman in this league, if it is in this league, is going to make the difference as a Scudetto winner. I think he makes it decisive.
So what's the problem with the move for Lookman to Inter? Is it that Atalanta, they don't want to sell him to Inter because they're a direct competitor? It's not really necessarily about the money, right?
This happens in Italy all the time. It's why Leone could not be transferred in Italy as well. He went to Liverpool because in Italy they don't want to sell to a rival, somebody that they're going to have to play against. And if you do, usually the fee is very high. And there's contradicting reports. If Lookman, if they would sell him for 50, if they've ever given a price, it's difficult to say. It's not a good situation. To piggyback on yours, but I have somebody else. But just to add, Lookman would be the guy that if I was Napoli, I would have tried to swoop in and grab him. And I get the complications for the deal. Napoli have the money after selling Osimhen, after selling Kvara. That's a proper replacement for a player of Kvara's level. Now I would be excited in Champions League. All of a sudden, what can you do to that level?
He
makes the difference.
He can play in Conte's 3-5-2 as a second striker behind Luka or Lukaku, and he can play as a left winger. The guy would be perfect.